freezing here in Florida. Okay, really, I know what freezing is because I used to live in Massachusetts. This is not super cold, but to me it is. I've got like my really warm Boston sweatshirt on. I've got a cup of tea here that I just did a little video on because I forgot that I got these free when I was at Vid Summit, and I'm ready to write. And I hope you're going to write with me today too. We did a little quick little live stream yesterday just because I knew I needed to get some words on the page. And I've almost finished chapter 2 of the proposal I have to finish, and I got to start chapter 3 today. Nice to see you, Emerald. I writing. I can't. These are like little. Like sometimes the little not hashtags, the little ats. The usernames are so hard. Nice to see you here, Gayla and Cheryl. Good to see you guys. Yeah, it's been a busy few weeks for those of you who weren't here yesterday or missed the video on Monday. I just kind of got like completely derailed from my normal schedule when I went to Dubai and Mexico and all of this travel and then the holidays and my husband's surgery. It took way more time than I expected to sort of take care of him and do my job and everything else. It was a lot more like little things that I had not even thought about having to do. Like just something simple like taking out the trash is something that he does all the time. And all of a sudden it was my responsibility. And so those little things add up. And so for those of you who are doing it all the time as a full-time caretaker, my heart goes out to you because it is a lot. And mine was just very temporary. It was only about 3 weeks where he was really fully laid up, and I had to go and get ice every couple of days because of course our refrigerator finally died all the way and our freezer refused to work. So we were buying ice constantly for the ice machine he had to keep on his knee. So I was out every day or every other day buying ice and going to CVS and all of that. It was kind of a pain in the butt, but got a new fridge. He's on the mend. He's walking about 10 minutes a day now. Even though it's Florida cold and I'm freezing, I'm going with him all the time. Nice to see you here, Heather and Linda. And Dexter, 20 degrees, Dexter. Oof. I remember Massachusetts being that cold and Indiana when I lived there. And I honestly said to one of my Florida friends today who came from Colorado, so she knew some serious cold there too. I was like, how did we ever live in those other states? Like, I don't know how I survived it. Now, I will say that a dry cold, which is what I would get up north, versus this very damp cold down here in Florida, feels totally different to me. And plus, I'm older, so that could be why I'm such a baby. But yeah, I'm dying. And I got a cup of New York breakfast, I think is what this particular flavor is called, tea. And I want to show you guys, I got a little video that I'll come out with, which is an unboxing for these foreign editions from the Netherlands. I never know what it says, and I can never tell which book it is because I'll read the back cover copy, and the first names at least are, still the English versions. And I don't even remember writing this book. And of course, that's okay because this book came out, the original version came out in 2012, so 13 years ago, and a lot of books since then. So Northwest Indiana, Heather. Yes, so cold there. I lived in Fort Wayne, and Chicago was like brutal compared to Fort Wayne. I went to a conference in Chicago in October, and they had it outside in tents, and it was the most ridiculous thing ever. I don't think I've ever been that cold as I was there. In Southeast Tennessee, yes, much milder winters. Our winters are very mild here. I really don't have much to complain about. My winter will be over tomorrow. So, yeah, it was like 5 days of real cold, and I got my electric blanket on. Like, I'm a total baby now. And I don't know what you guys are reading, but I just finished this monster of a book, King Sorrow. It was really, really good. I love Joe Hill. As you guys know, I have heart-shaped box sitting in a big pile of books here because I talk about them on my channel. I want to go through this again and then use it on the channel as well. And I read, this was an ARC, but it actually came out in September. So it's not really an advanced reading copy anymore. It was actually really good. This is a like PI detective team. And normally I don't like reading those. I usually shy away from them. And I think maybe I should just do like a little short video on the entire way that I picked this book up. Because I was at BoucherCon and there was probably 200 different books to choose from that we could take 6 each home for free. And I kept coming back to this one because I really like the cover, but I don't like doing, like I said, series where I don't know the characters, where I feel like, I'm popping right in the middle of this detective series. And a lot of times it feels to me like an episode of a TV show rather than like an actual standalone book. but the writing was really good. And I kept reading like little snippets from it and thought, you know what? I think this is going to be a good book. And I was right. It was really good. The characters were strong enough that they could stand alone, and I didn't feel like I'd missed something by not reading any others in the series. I have no idea how many others are in the series. I didn't look that part up, but it was good. She is a CPA who's actually a writer, and she did a great job. So I enjoyed it. So let me know what you guys are reading in the comments and what you've enjoyed. I've read a lot more than just that. That's all I have in my office right now, but I have a huge pile in my bedroom that I have yet to bring into the office to start talking about the books. And I also read The Housemaid. So let me know if you would love to see a video series on tearing apart The Housemaid now that it's a movie out. And I'm dying to see the movie. The book was really good. I do like Frida McFadden. I think she's really a strong writer with a good way of doing hooks and suspense. So, The Hunger Games, Silver Alley, are you rereading it or is it your first time through? I've actually never read them because sometimes if I see the movie, I have no interest in reading the book because I already know how it ends. Um, but I've heard that they're really, really good. Margaret, nice to see you here. And what we're going to do today is we do little sprints where in case you're new here, because I noticed a couple of names I haven't seen before. And Linda said it's quite mild where she is, which is good. We do 15-minute sprints, and I write and play some music for you guys. And we've got a prompt today that has to do with New Year's. It's the same one I used yesterday. So if you came yesterday, sorry, it's the same one. But I figured the regulars weren't there yesterday, so I might as well reuse this prompt. And I want you guys to try that. This particular prompt is about what is your character's New Year's resolution? Because I thought about resolutions. I don't know if you guys make resolutions or not. I do not. I used to when I was younger, and then within like 2 days, I would break it. So I don't really have resolutions or a word of the year or anything like that because I know I won't do it. So if you do resolutions, what was your resolution? Have you stuck to it all the way until the second? Are you thinking you're going to eat less sugar or go out and exercise more or whatever your resolution is? I got to admit that I have this little app called Finch. I don't know if any of you guys have it, but I have an app called Finch where it's like this little bird thing, and it like rewards you if you say I got out of bed today. And there are days when I really need to be rewarded for getting out of bed, I gotta say. I love it because it's got this little motivation thing and it's very positively driven. And one of my friends got me into it. And I love kind of earning the little pets and little outfits and all that kind of stuff. They've gamified basically living your life, and you can put any goals you want in there. Like I have brush my teeth, drink some water, just to kind of have something to check off every day. I'm a list person and I really like checking things off. And when I have like, you wouldn't believe my work list. This is my work list. It is 2 pages like this. This is my work to-do list starting for next week. When I have a list like that, it's very hard to cross everything off and I get very discouraged. So, Heather said she's reading the Sharon K. Penman series at the moment, and she does historical fiction. That sounds cool. I'll have to check that out. I really, really, really loved Frozen River by Ariel Lawhon. Lawhon? I don't know how to say her last name. It was exquisitely well written, and I really loved that. And Cece, welcome to the live stream. And okay, great. I will have to do the breakdown on The Housemaid. I got to record that sometime this. I'll have to start in like a week or two because I already edited the video that's coming out next Monday. So yes, and Cheryl has said she saw Cheryl's posts or somebody's post on the Thursday sprints, and yeah, you can go through Dexter said he saw the post and he's going to go through the replay. I actually had a technology good kind of sprint, so today also technology is good so far, I think, and maybe I shouldn't speak too soon, but I think I've kind of mastered this. And Dexter, I don't think you've been the newbie in a while. There's plenty of other people here that we know, and I'm so glad to see you guys here. All right, I need to get some writing done. I could talk all day, but I really need to get some writing done. Let's just do CC's goals, and then we'll switch to the sprint. I set only 2 goals for 2026. I'll do more than that, but I thought if I concentrate on 2 specific goals for the year that I'd complete them. I think that's great. I do have like goals in general. I don't necessarily have them for the year per se. Like, when I did the half Ironman, like that was a goal and I had to do a million little things to add up to that. It was a really good thing. Now I'll be like, okay, I'll do a 10K because I don't have the motivation to train for a half Ironman, much less a full Ironman anymore. So anyway, all right, let's do our first sprint. It'll be 15 minutes. I got to set up my timer so that I remember to come back to you guys, because otherwise I will forget entirely and I'll just keep on writing. And then we'll come back and we'll chat some more about writing, and you can write any questions you have into the chat and I'll answer them live. Okay, that was just in time because I didn't know what I was going to write next. So, yeah, I'm glad to have gotten those 15 minutes and be on the next scene, the first scene of chapter 3. The second scene of chapter 3 is already written, so I really only have one scene left to write in here, and then another polish, and then the proposal should be ready to go to my editor on Monday morning. So, um, and Heather says she's starting off the year with a 3-day fast and meeting with a personal trainer for 4 sessions. Wow, that's a lot. You have 90-day goals and everything else. That's awesome. I saw somebody posting about 75 hard, and then they were doing like a 45 soft or whatever. And I was like, oh, that sounds like it would be fun. And then I thought, there's no way. There's no way I'm going to do that. And Cheryl said she's combining continuing revisions on 2 books and hopefully getting started on the 3rd one. That's awesome. That is really great. And Linda's starting the year hoping to get more things published, maybe make my heroine want publication. She lives with someone that does support her career. That's cool. And Margaret wants to keep breathing life into her newfound passion, which is writing out a romance novel. That's really cool. And I think if you have a passion for writing, it like never goes away. I still love writing as much as I did when I first started it. It changes obviously when it becomes your career or it becomes something that you're doing on deadline and for editors, but I still love it. And I create stuff that isn't right now going to an editor that is just for me, and may or may not end up published. I showed you guys that cover for the after party. I had to put that one on hold because I sold this book to HarperCollins. So now I got to meet my contract obligations before I do the other stuff. And yes, definitely exhausted from the past 2 months. I had all the kids here, or 4 out of our 5 kids were here for Christmas with their significant others and my in-laws and everything else. And everybody left like late afternoon on the 25th. I had my Christmas decorations down by lunch the next day. I was like so over it and so ready to just go back to normal life and just do nothing. My husband got me a 2,000 piece jigsaw puzzle for Christmas. And basically, that's all I did for like 3 days. I just zoned out and just did the jigsaw puzzle while he watched YouTube videos and stuff. And I just did my thing. And I loved it. I love puzzles so much. And I know that I can't do those if I'm like working because I will get nothing done. It's kind of like getting a book that I really, really want to read. I have to like lock it in the trunk or have somebody put it in another room until I'm done with whatever project has to be done, because otherwise I will spend a whole day reading it. So, um, Silverolly asked me if I use a line break between a scene and a sequel in a chapter. I do not, unless even if I'm changing point of view, which I don't change point of view in general until the middle of the book, like within the same scene. So when I have the scene and the sequel, the best way to do it is to have them merge seamlessly so that it goes right from the action to the reaction to the emotional impact to the, oh crap, what am I going to do? This is what I'll do now. So it all kind of goes seamlessly. I'll put a break between different scenes where I change point of view or I change location. And in my manuscripts, when I send them to my editors, it's just 3 pound signs, because that's what they use over there at HarperCollins. They'll put, I think they put like a little star in between. I don't know. When I do that, it like formats into something weird. So I just do the 3 pound signs. But that's only if I'm changing point of view or changing location with the scene. So, and yes, rest and restore is a good, great habit resolution. I've done a lot of that in the last 2 weeks. It's been really nice to have the time off come right after such a really hectic, busy season. And as you can tell from my work list, like it's going to start being hectic and busy Monday. So I've got a couple days left where I can sort of just chill. I've got plans with friends tomorrow night. And I think if I can get the book proposal done tomorrow and my video edited tomorrow, then I'm just going to take Sunday to go putter around in my garden because it should be nice weather. And thanks, Cheryl, for the congrats on the sale. It's always a nice kind of validation that, yeah, I kind of do know what I'm doing. But here's the thing, and this I talk about in the video that's coming up on Monday. I got a revision letter, right? It wasn't perfect when I sent it in there, or maybe I talked about it in the video this Monday. I don't know. They all seem to run together. But even though I've written a bazillion books, it still doesn't come out right the first time. When I send it into my editor, she still has revisions. And the revisions that she had for me, and this is a new editor to me, I've not worked with this one before, kind of once I started putting them in place, it changed everything. So that's why I've had such a lengthy revision on this proposal. I basically changed everything after page 2. So I kept the same characters, I kept the same main plot, but I added some new characters, I added some new locations, I changed how the mystery is going to unfold, and I've changed who the murderer is, in my head anyway. So I haven't put all that into the synopsis yet, and I'm kind of hoping she doesn't ask me for one because I hate writing them. I had one when I sold the book on proposal. There was one attached to my 3 chapters. But yeah, I don't like writing them. I don't like knowing how my book is going to end, and I never read it anyway, so it's sort of an exercise in futility, but they make me do it because the art department wants it. So yeah. We'll see if she asks me. I'm just going to send the 3 chapters and pretend don't have a synopsis. But if she asks me for it, I will write it. But that's been kind of fun, but also has kept me really working on this quite a bit. I'm still thinking about the after party, the other book that I was working on, and I've still got notes that I'm sending myself about that book for things that I want to do with that, because those other things kind of sit there and cook in the back of my head while I'm working on what I'm doing now. But the main thing I'm trying to figure out with the after party is the motivation for the guy that gets murdered, for what he's doing that gets him murdered. And I haven't figured that out yet. So once I do, it's like a puzzle. It'll be much easier to write. So, okay, did anybody try the New Year's resolution with your character? Because I think that really talks a lot about who they are and what gets in their way. I talked about this a little bit yesterday. Like, my New Year's resolution used to always be to like either lose 10 pounds or go to the gym more often or whatever that was to get in shape. And it's not that I don't want to stay in shape and stay the weight that I am so that all my clothes fit, but the whole thing with making resolutions is different. But the fears and insecurities that would get in my way would be like, I want to go to the gym because I feel like an idiot when I try to use the equipment. Even though I've worked with trainers, I've been to gyms a million times over the years, I still feel like everybody's looking at me and going, that girl does not know what she's doing. So I get super self-conscious in a gym, and I don't like to go. I'd rather work out at home. But then there's 12,000 other things that I end up doing instead of working out at home. So those are the doubts and insecurities and anxieties that get in the way of maintaining that New Year's resolution. So if you look at your character and you say, okay, what is keeping my character from, say, leaving this abusive relationship, or finally taking the leap and quitting her job, or going after her dream of being a baker. Like, this is her New Year's resolution, or his New Year's resolution to do this. What is getting in the way and keeping them from doing that? If you really kind of look at what is keeping characters from going after what they want, you can really figure out a bunch of things that you can use in the book down the road. And I got distracted by Cheryl's question. I read that at the same time as I was talking. Is the book that I sold the one set in Boston or the hurricane story? It's neither, actually. This one is set in Colorado, just like my other romantic suspenses were. I had a proposal that I sent in, I don't know, like a year ago, and it just kind of sat there. I think publishing kind of like, they lost a lot of money. They kind of all sort of pulled back on buying for a little while. Um, but yeah, I sent that proposal like a year ago, and it's called, the working title is The Killing Game. And it's about these teenagers that play hide and go seek, and one of them gets murdered. And this is taking place 18 years later, and the murderer is coming again. So it's a totally different book. Yeah, there's always something I'm working on and sending out, and just keeping a lot of irons in the fire, because you never know what will strike at the right time in the right phase of the moon. Dexter said, my two main characters met just before New Year's, which is at the spring equinox in their world. They resolved to snag each other. So far, it's going okay for them both. But you can also still have the fears and insecurities that are getting in the way, because it's unlikely for both people in a relationship to be at the same level of readiness or the same level of commitment. I mean, it happens. My second husband and I were like that, but most of the relationships that I have been in, one or the other of us was more further along, or more in love, or more ready for something deeper than the other. And so those fears and insecurities can keep that character apart, if you want to try that. CC said, I didn't try New Year's resolutions for my character yet, but because I'm writing a holiday romance comedy, I'll definitely keep it in mind as I move forward. Yes, you're welcome. And it could be like, I had the book called The Devil Served Desire. It was originally called The Devil Served Tortellini. That was a whole book about her losing weight, and she joins this like 12-step program where they have these hilarious sayings, and they all go out for pasta, all you can eat pasta, after their little group meeting. It was just a really hilarious kind of way to look at the weight loss thing. And it wasn't that she needed to lose weight. She was curvy. She just needed to love herself the way that she was, and then she would stop in her own self-defeating habits. And it didn't mean that she got skinny at the end of the book. I didn't want to write that, because I don't think that that's realistic, nor does it set you up for a very realistic role model to follow, but more about her learning that she was good just as she was, and that she can embrace who she is. And so that's what that whole underlying message was. But her resolution was definitely to lose these 20 pounds. She did everything she could for it. But her fears and insecurities and doubts about herself were what were getting in the way. So, and Dexter said, you read my mind. Now you get to say, I knew you were going to type that. Well, you always want to have some conflict there, because otherwise the book gets stale and boring really quickly. Gail is writing 3 chapters and a synopsis for Love Inspired. I talked with Katie Gowrie, and she liked your pitch. That's nice. And it's the new book you've been working on. That's awesome. I'm so thrilled for you. That's really cool. So Gail is working on a proposal as well, and I hope that goes really, really well. And as you know, I will tell you that Love Inspired wants that internal conflict. That's the one thing that I got nailed on too with my editor. She wanted a little bit more internal conflict on my heroine's part. And actually, I changed everything. So she may come back and still want some more, because I may not have added enough, but we'll see when I do my final pass. But yeah, they're all about emotion and internal conflict and internal growth at HarperCollins. That's really their big thing. All right, let's get some internal conflict going, and let's do another sprint. So let me know if you guys have any questions, and we'll go for another 15 minutes. Well, that was good. I got my bad guy onto the page, and I can tell you guys that because you're not going to read the book for at least a year. um, if you do when it comes out, I don't know when it'll actually be out. I don't have to turn it in until July, so um, yes. So yes, great news, Gayla. Really happy for you, and you guys were talking about a movie and I forgot what it was. So, and Margaret, I'm glad that the sprint is thought provoking for you, because that's the whole objective with it, is to get you guys to think about your characters and your book in a different way, not to necessarily write the thing, but to think about it and think about how that relates back to your character and or impacts your book. um, Family, friends, and competitors who've passed on, remembering them is thought provoking for Dexter every year at this time. And you know, it's weird because I'm older now, as I'm sure you guys can tell, despite the ring lights. And I just pulled a little what do you call it? Round two, the jar opener things, the little rubber jar opener things, out of one of my drawers yesterday to open a jar, and the name on it is a fellow author who died last year. And it's so weird, like I knew her really well. She was in my chapter of writers here, and I spoke to that group, I don't know, a dozen times. I've known her for many many years, and or knew her for many many years, and it's just so weird to realize that somebody that I knew so well and I'm still holding her little promo thing is gone. It's, I don't know, it's a little bit more jarring, I think, the older that you get. So, Gayla, do I use any writing software you would recommend? Somebody else asked me that question on the channel today, and absolutely not. I use Microsoft Word. I do not use Scrivener or any of that stuff. We've all seen how I am with technology, and and even when I was younger, I don't. This is me. This is me personally. It doesn't have to be you, but I personally do not like a lot of the little things to like keep track of and deal with my book. My entire searchability of my book is that I put bookmarks at the beginning of each chapter. Once in a while, I'll put a bookmark for something that I need to come back to or something that I need to really remember. But I like to work on the book as a layered kind of thing, where I will go back over the chapter before I work on the current chapter, just kind of, you know, fuss with it and read it and really get back into the mood and the depth. I don't use anything to keep track of stuff. Um, I'm just not that way. I watched the documentary called Cover Up, which was about Seymour Hersh, who is a journalist who uncovered like a lot of really horrific things that happened over the last 40, 50 years of his career. But anyways, I saw that he has like a million notebooks like this with the horrific handwriting on it that I have. And I was like, see, this is how I work. I learned when I was really young to write everything down, because when I first started as a journalist, I didn't even think I owned a tape recorder. I don't think they had the little ones until I'd been a journalist for like a year or two, you know, the really little ones, or at least they were outside of my price range or something, because I got one for Christmas. So it must have been kind of expensive back then. But I wrote everything down by hand, and that's still the best way for me to remember things and to process things and to think through things. Now, writing I do almost entirely on the computer because it's more efficient. But when I'm really trying to work out a puzzle with something with my book or remember something about it, then I will write it down. And I don't usually even have to go back to those notes. They just stay there in my mind somehow. There's a connection between writing it down and stuff like that. And Cheryl says she hated Scrivener. Yeah, I've seen other people like do sponsored content, other writing people that are on YouTube do sponsored content for Scrivener. And I don't know. I mean, if you really like that kind of thing, and some people do, like Suzanne Brockman really likes to have a lot of details and a really detailed outline and a lot of notes and like a binder and stuff, or at least she used to back when I knew her very well. And that works for her. Does not work for me. You got to find what works for you. Maybe it's a binder, maybe it's a software, maybe it's not. You have no idea until you try it. And Linda said I think you mean your character has made a resolution to only have 2 slices of bread a day. So she sits down, makes out a list, listing bread substitutes for 3 weeks, then binges. Well, 2 slices of bread a day is not a whole lot of calories. That's maybe 220 calories, maybe. Slice of bread is not a whole lot of calories, even if you have a big, huge homemade slice. So how's she going to live through that? I'm now reading on audiobook. I'm reading, Oh, I can't even remember the title of it. Never mind. But it's about a girl. One of the scenes in there is a little girl that was like really starving and had this horrible stuff to eat every day. Cece said she uses notebooks for her notes as well as stickies. I often write by hand and put it on my computer. Scrivener didn't work for me, but the concept helped. Yeah, I think the concept of like understanding how the structure has to work, which is why I created those handouts for you guys that just show the structure. I think that helps a lot to know that you need to have a black moment or to know that you need to have a turning point or a twist here. That helps. Um, yeah, it just makes it a little bit easier to understand where things need to go for you. And I still need to remind myself, yeah, I need a twist here. You know, I can feel it in my gut and know that I need to put one in. And Cheryl, if I had to write 80 pages like Suzanne Brockman, I would rather stick a needle in my eye. I thought the same thing about her outline when I saw it. I was like, oh my God, I would just rather die because I don't like to know it all before I write it. It just takes all the fun out of it. It would be like cheating on my jigsaw puzzle or something like that, or having all the answers unscrambled for me in the spelling bee every day. Like I really like the challenge of figuring out the puzzle of it. All right, let's do one more because I got one more in me, and then we can be about our resolutions for our new year. And again, let me know if you have any questions. I'll see you guys in 15 minutes. There we go. I got my have my scene done, and so now I just have to go back and polish. And I worked out my character's internal GMC to add a little bit more of it while I was there. Cece said, "Oh, wait, yes, we already talked about that." So I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything. And Cece said, "So refreshing to hear your process because I struggle with plotting." And yeah, I do too. Like it's like a big puzzle to me. I mainly struggle with the internal, just like everybody else does, like trying to figure out why my characters are doing what they're doing. And just as a side note for how I figured this out with this one, because the heroine's internal GMC was what my editor had remarked on, that I didn't have enough. I went back to what her job is. So she was with her friend when her friend was murdered when she was 17, 18. Her job now is as an event photographer. And I started thinking about how does that impact how does her past impact her job? And an event photographer photographs everybody's happy moments, right? Like their weddings, their baptisms, their, birthday parties, quinceañeras, all of those kinds of things. And if she is not allowing herself to enjoy those things too, because she feels survivor's guilt over what happened to her friend and how it happened to her friend instead of to her, then that becomes a really strong internal GMC and creates a really strong motivation for her to try to solve this murder, because maybe she feels like she can move on after that. But until she deals with what put her there in the first place, she may not be able to. So I get to go back and put that in there. Martha said she had to hit the road because the Wi-Fi wasn't working well. I went through that last week. Our entire week, Spectrum was out here every single day because they were upgrading or something. I don't know. My Wi-Fi was not reliable at all last week. It was awful. And thank you, Cece, for being here. I appreciate it. And Dexter's asking at the Library of Alexandria. I just watched some video on that, on like a short on TikTok or something. I'm glad you guys all came to here today with me. It was great to have so many of you here. And yes, I have missed this too. It was really good to be able to work on the book again and just put my head back into writing. It makes me super happy. And so I'm glad you guys were here. I'm glad I didn't have any technical difficulties. Thank you so much for that. And I will be back with a new video on Monday. I've got a short coming out tonight, so keep an eye out for it. And I will see you guys next week. I don't see any problem with having live streams for a while. I should be in town and not going anywhere for a while. So I will